Hey everyone, this is Gnogad. Last week I posted a combo on Twitter about the deck I was tinkering with the last weeks, and I got some comments about it, whether what's the deck list. The deck list is Primite, Metalmorph, Bystial, Fiendsmith. It's just like some good cards slapped together, a bunch of non-engine, but it's a blast to play. It has a lot of small interactions, it's very mid-range, it's super up my alley, so I thought I might as well share with you, and I hope you enjoyed the deck profile, so let's hop into it. So let's hop into the deck profile. We'll start off with the main deck. This deck is basically a combination of multiple small packages, so I'll just show off the packages together. So the first package we have is the Red Eyes package, so 3 Black Metal Dragon, that's the best mobs on the deck, and some 3 Disruptions, pretty nice. For that we run the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon and the Full Metal Dragon as our targets to search, and with the Full Metal Dragon we also run the Max Metalmorph. This is a really strong boss monster, hard to out, and Omni Negate. It's pretty nice off of 1 card with spheres. Then we have the Primate package. We have 2 Lode Lubellion and 1 Roar. I had 3 of this. I cut it for the Chaos space because I wanted to try it, and also because I don't want to draw multiples, because this deck tries to have independent pieces working together, and if you draw multiple of these it can be kind of bad. And also if you draw the Roar and the Load together, you cannot activate this because the search is mandatory. So if you want to increase the Primite count a bit, like have another target with the Roar, then you can up this, but in this particular deck it doesn't make sense, I think. For our targets, we have the Wadtail Dragon as our dragon. You can run this or the Labradorite Dragon, but I decided to go with this because this makes the Grave effect of Roar live, and we want every little interaction that we can get in this deck. The Labradorite has 0 attack. Same as our second target. This is the White Duston. If we happen to open just the Primate stuff and non-engine, then we want to get the maximum out of the Primate stuff, and the White Duston is just Fiendsmith combo. So that's it for the Primate stuff. And then the Bystials, we run 3 Lubellion, of course, 3 Saronir, 1 Magnamut, 1 Drewsworm, 1 Baldrake, and 1 Regained. Put this up here. Now, I was asked about the ratios on this, why 3 Saronir and only 1 Drewsworm. The reason being is that first I wanted to have it at 10, like 9 Bystials and 1 of the spell, but also Saronir is better than Drewsworm in this deck, because if you have like Saronir and the Red Eyes, then you can send the Lubellion if you link this one off, and then the Lubellion can tribute the Darkness Dragon and get back. So this basically gives us more access to Lubellion, which is crucial to get our value engine rolling. So that's why I like 3 Saronir, and you have access to the Drewsworm most of the time anyway via Spheres or Magnamut or Lubellion. So that's the Bystial part. And the Fiendsmith part, very small, 1 Engraver, 1 Lacrima, 1 Sanct. I wanted to target to add off of Engraver, but as of recording of this video, I saw the feature match of Joshua Schmidt with his Kashtira Fiendsmith build, and he ran Fiendsmith in Paradise, the trap, which gives you another interruption if you summon Lacrima on your opponent's turn. So that's definitely consideration over the Sanct. I wanted to target that you can add off of the Engraver if you draw it, but like if you have the trap, you can just add that, get the Engraver engrave that way, and you just take this space for the trap card. So definitely we'll try that out. For now, it's the Sanct. No Tract, because Tract requires 2 slots, whereas Sanct just requires 1. And you can get around the restriction of Lode Lubellion, or like Primate Roar, but that you have to have an open field, by just using Requiem effect, and to that Requiem effect you can chain the Primate Roar to get your Primate non-monster target. Or you just chain these both in the same chain, like activate both, also works. So doesn't conflict that much. And then we have 1 Chaos space and 1 1/1. Late edition, but I think this can add a lot to the deck. I'll try it out more if it gets bricky, because this doesn't work on its own, right? It needs a light and a dark, or a dark, to actually get going. And for the Dark target, we actually just have the Full Metal Dragon, which is not the best add. So we kind of need a Dark to draw this. So trying it out right now. If it breaks, I'll cut it for another hand trap, or maybe just add the Fiendsmith in Paradise and keep the Sanct in. 1-for-1, really, really strong in this deck because you can get into your Black Metal Dragon and you can also get to the White Duston. So it gives you access to 2 of your engines. Really, really good card in this. And then for the non-engine, there is 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, 3 Imperm. That's pretty much the cards that always kind of go in if you want to have hand traps. But for the other hand traps, I decided not to run Ogre or Warner, but instead I'm main decking Droll and Nib. I'm not that big of a fan of maining Droll usually, but in this deck, having these high impact hand traps helps you survive the turn, which is one of the main goals of this deck. You just want to survive the first turns because you don't make the most broken board. You just want to survive and then kind of claw your way into the game doing so. So these cards help out a lot. 2 Nib because of space issues, because these cards, the other hand traps, are just good in general. And Droll is a better turn ender right now. But the 3rd Nib definitely is in the side deck. You will side out some of the going first cards for that and have a 3rd Nib in the side for that. That's the main 40 clean cards. And extra deck, we have the Striker Dragon and the Pisty. Just link once to link off our Black Metal. Pisty isn't mandatory. If you want to run something else, you can run it, but Pisty makes the Black Metal and Sarony combo live. Otherwise you won't get to your Regained if you have that, because you kind of need to have a Dark Engrave for that Sarony to come out. And then also for the other dragons we have 2 Spheres. That's your main end board piece, and you can recycle it with Regained and Chaos Space. But you still, for the grind game, it's better to have 2. Like, you never know what's gonna happen, right? You won't see the Chaos Space sometimes, or the Regained will get outed, right? That's why you want 2. For the Fiendsmith part, we have Moon, Requiem, Sequence, Necroquip, Desiree, and Caesar. So usually, what I do with this deck is a turn 1, I try to go for Caesar, just to protect the rest of the combo, and from there on out, you just loop these, right? You just like shuffle back your Light Fiends and get back to that. I'm thinking about including Agnum Day, because Agnum Day is super strong also in the grind game and with Lacrima. I'll have to think about what to cut for that, but definitely probably the next card I'll try out in the extra is the Agnum Day. It's really strong, actually a super underrated card. And then for the Necroquip, one thing I wanted to mention is most of the people just know her as a Link 1 for Fiendsmith, and that's level 6, but the other effect is really strong here in this deck, because if you discard a monster, send a monster from your hand to the graveyard as a cost, you can either draw a card, or what's also important is you can equip one of those monsters. So for the draw card, we have like Chaos Space, 1-for-1, we have the Engraver, we have the 3 Lubellion, right? These are all cards that trigger, and also if your opponent hand traps you, unless it's Impulse, like Impulse or Imperm, you also will draw a card, right? And what's also very important here is, not only do you draw off of these, but sometimes, let's say if you have Chaos Space and you have Red MD in hand, you can just discard the Black Metal Dragon, equip it to the Necroquip, and once the Necroquip leaves the field, this goes to the graveyard and you search a Red Eyes. So a lot of effects that not often come up in the current, like the standard Fiendsmith lines, but Necroquip actually shines in this deck. So just a short word for the Necroquip. And then for the rest of the deck, some generic endboard stuff, IP, SP, just to convert some bodies. Usually like you end on spheres, but sometimes you have some other body next to it, and you can use the Primite Lode to get another body, go to IP, or you can go into Lars instead. Usually I like going into Lars because if you use the second effect of the Lode, you cannot activate monster effects for the rest of the turn anymore, especially some monster effects. So if if you have a Caesar and you use it, and your opponent nibs you, you will get the Spheres effect because it's not on field activating, it's in the grave. but you will have a token and any dragon that you get out to get some advantage. And then I would like to go into IP after that. Like you get the Magnamut, go into IP, and then Magnamut searches, and then you have an IP Druid Worm play, which is still really, really good after you got nibbed, right? So that's why I like to go Lars first if I use the load effect, and then IP after. Then we have a Chaos Angel. It's just a good standalone removal card. Necrocrypt plus Lacrima does the light and dark Chaos Angel. And if you run Labradorite instead of Wobtail Dragon, you can do it too with that. So it's something to consider. And the last card, the flex slot, is the Typhon. Because our deck is more hand trap heavy, we'll plant a lot of half boards, and we don't combo that much. We can place some on our opponent's turn, so the Typhon is just a nice tool to break our opponent's board. So that's it for the deck profile, and we'll go into some combos now. So this deck doesn't have any intricate combos, just like small plays you can make. It's just like the black metal combo is the bread and butter. It's like the most combo thing we have. There's some small interactions, so there's a lot of like bigger combos that you do combining the engines, but there's not like a one card combo that does everything. There's just like small interactions. So if you have a black metal, just know that if you normal summon it, you will link it off, strike a dragon, get out the Red Ice Darkness Metal, banish the striker, summon it, get back the black metal to go into spheres, triggers the black metal again because it's not once per turn. Get the full metal dragon, use the effect to set your max metal morph, and that's the turn. So during your opponent's turn, you can then use the spheres to bounce something. It triggers in the grave, specials out a Druid Worm in this case, and that's one interaction. Then you go max metal morph, tribute the Druid Worm for the full metal, equip it with the max metal morph. You can send something with the Druid Worm then, and then you also have the Omni Negate. So that's the one normal summon with 3 interactions. Not super impressive as for one card combos of today's standard, but backed up with a bunch of hand traps and maybe the other engines. This is good enough, right? This is one card. We just wanted a normal summon that does a lot, and this is good enough. But let's just rewind a bit and just show you why the Pisty is here. So let's say we have the black metal and we have a Saronir. You'll go start with the black metal again, link it off into the striker to get the darkness metal, banish, summon, effect, get back, and then you'll actually link off the black metal into Pisty so that you can get your search, but also you have your dark in the grave, and now you can actually use the Saronir, banish, summon, link these two off into your moon, or just the spheres, like whatever route you want to go depending on your hand. The simple line is just the spheres, and that'll trigger the Saronir, sending a Rebellion, and then Lubellion can come out, tribute the Darkness Metal Dragon, and set up the Regained, and then you also set up the Metal Morph here. This is nice because even if this now gets Cold Bite or Ashed, you still have a dragon to max Metal Morph away, and the Regained will also revive a dragon, which is not that relevant here because it's just Saronir, but it still gives a body that your opponent has to OTK through. Okay, another combination I wanted to show off is the Primite and like Bystial Lubellion. Just to show off like what you do if you have the extra bodies and also like an interaction with the Lubellion and the Necrocrypt. So you'll start off with the Lode Lubellion, get the Roar. You activate Roar and you call White Dust on, summon it out, link it off into Requiem. Requiem gets out Lacrima. Lacrima sends the Engraver. Then you're going to equip the Requiem and you're going to fusion summon into a Necrocrypt. Use the Lubellion now to grab Magnamut, which triggers the Necrocrypt, drawing you a card. And then you can go and use Engraver. It's important here that you don't shuffle back the White Dust on in this particular combo if you don't have any other targets for your Bystial, because you don't want to banish the Lubellion, you don't want to banish your Fiendsmith stuff. unless you have Chaos Space in the grave or you already have Regain set up. But in this case, you shuffle back the Requiem, you have the Engraver on board, you go into Caesar now, making you nib-proof, and now you can go use Magnamut, banish the Duston, we don't need it anymore, and summon the Magnamut, activate the effect, grab the Lubellion, tributing it. Lubellion effect gets you regained, and now you have a Lubellion on field, right? What do you do with it? You can go second effect of the Lode to summon out Watt-tailed Dragon. Now, you're not allowed to activate special summoned monster effects anymore, so your opponent at this point can nib you, because your Caesar cannot be activated. If they don't nib you, you link these off into spheres, but if they do nib you here, it's actually not a big deal. You'll get these out in the grave, your opponent has a nib, we get a token, and that'll trigger the regained, and regain just special summons back our Magnamut, and we can link them off for an IP, and during our opponent's turn we can at the end of the turn we can Magnamut to search for a Bystial, preferably Drusworm, and we'll have this setup here. We have drawn an extra card, we have 3 more cards in hand, and with the Drusworm, regained will summon back the Magnamut during the opponent's turn. We can summon the Drusworm, banishing something, which draws us a card off of regained, and we have the Engraver in the grave for follow-up, plus we have IP, link off Drusworm into SP, which is a lot of removal. So this should be good enough to get you over the hump. Another thing I wanted to mention is if you do have another light target, and you can leave the Requiem in grave, what's actually nice is in a lot of these combos you will have Requiem and Lacrima in the grave. So you can, in the opponent's turn, shuffle back the Lacrima, bring Requiem, special summon out the Lacrima, and if you do run the Fiendsmith trap, you have another disruption right there. Speaking of disruptions in the grave, I forgot to mention, we also have the Roar with the Watt-tailed Dragon, so to banish something when something gets normal summoned. So even after getting nibbed, we have the IP into the SP. That's with the Drusworm, that's 2 removals on that play alone. The SP can remove another card, and then the Roar will remove another card, plus your hand traps. So that's just the Lubellion plus the Primite part. For the last combo, I just wanted to show off what happens if you have like conflicting normal summons and a lot of small synergies with this deck. So this doesn't like happen every game because it's like multiple different pieces, but over the course of the combo, you'll see like some interactions that you should know playing this deck. So we have our normal summon, we have a second normal summon, either Lacrima or like White Duster, and we have something to discard here. So let's just go with the Lacrima Chaos Space line, and we'll summon the Lacrima actually, use the Lacrima effect, get the Engraver engrave, we link off the Lacrima for our Requiem, and now what we're going to do is, we only have these 2 Fiendsmith cards in deck, right, so we can't activate this, but what we can do is use the Engraver effect to shuffle this back in, bring itself back out, and then the Requiem has it on the target again, bring out the Lacrima, equip it, and we go into Necrocrypt. Now before you go into Caesar, we're going to go Chaos Space, discard the Black Metal, and add Lubellion. This will trigger the Necrocrypt, but not to draw, but actually to equip the Black Metal here. Now you're going to overlay these 2 for your Caesar, and that'll make the Black Metal go to the grave, and it triggers, adding you the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. So next up, you are going to use the Lubellion to grab a Magnamut that you will use banishing the Requiem in this case, because we have the Chaos Space. So we can summon the Magnamut, activate its effect, and then bring out the Lubellion, putting it here, and grabbing the Regained. Now you can use the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, banishing the Lubellion, which triggers Regained, puts it under the deck, and we draw a card. Now we can use the Metal Dragon, bring out the black metal, and link those two off into spheres, triggering the metal dragon. We get full metal, use the effect to shuffle it back, and set ourselves a max metal morph. And lastly, what we do is we use the chaos space to recycle our Requiem and draw another card. And in the end phase, via Magnamut, we'll get a Druid's Worm. So we had two conflicting normal summons, but we managed to get both of the Fiendsmith and the Dragon Engine out. We have the Caesar, we have the Spheres, we have the Regained, we have a Druid's Worm, 2 extra cards drawn, we have the Max Metal Morph. That's the board, and in our grave we have the Lacrima, but no Requiem in this case. Again, if you have another target that you can banish, do that instead. Alright, so that's the last combo. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you next time.